I don't like making tutorials. Let's just get this over with. To simplify the Oxford Dictionary definition of the word gradient, it is, simply put, a change in some value over a distance. But we're not here for the mathematical definition of this. See, we're here for Minecraft and Minecraft building. So what it is in Minecraft is essentially changing from block A to block B gradually over a distance. Now, of course, your first option for making gradients in Minecraft is to go get an art degree, learn high-level color theory, study under some masters in some distant cave, invoke the spirit of Da Vinci, and then memorize the color of every single block they add to this game. If that sounds good to you, great, go ahead. This video is not for you. For everyone who's here, which I'm guessing is most of you, let's start with my favorite tool, Axiom's built-in gradient generator. Now, if you're unfamiliar, Axiom is a fabric mod for building that's become really popular recently. It's essentially World Edit with better UI. But what it does also include is right in the creative inventory, we have a gradient helper. The way this thing works is relatively simple. You can simply take block A, for example, take block B, go into your gradient helper, put one in, put the second in, and Axiom will automatically give you a generated gradient that you can export to the mod's painter brush, you can export it to the gradient brush itself, or you can just copy it straight to your hotbar. Now, this is the part where you don't immediately click off this video, because if you just follow this blindly, you're going to end up with gradients that look like this. Yeah, not great. The reason this happens is because of how Axiom actually does this behind the scenes. You see, Axiom will take a look at a block, and it'll average out the color value of that block. So for example, in this case, when you average out this teal, this orange, this light whites here, it ends up averaging out to a beige, which Axiom then treats as a viable color transition between these two blocks. Most of the time, this isn't an issue. Most of the time, it works great, for example, with pretty much any block that has a relatively consistent color. But Axiom will sometimes just spit out things like targets, command blocks, glazed terracotta that seemingly has no place in that transition, simply because that's what the math is telling it. It's your job as the builder to actually review these gradients, not the magic jar file, and I'll give you a few more tips on how to smooth these out and basically just best practices for your gradients later in the video. But for now, let's go on to a tool for those of us who are not mod inclined or for some reason still play Bedrock. This is HueBlocks. It's a completely free website that I'll have linked in the description along with Axiom's library that basically serves the same purpose as the gradient generator, except in my mind, it's actually a little bit better for a couple of reasons. The first one being that you can, apart from just picking up the block you want to transition from, they have a full library here that you can also sort by build friendly, grayscale, where these blocks come from, or just go with all of them and see what happens. You can do that. You can also go in and pick by your color, and more importantly, you have a built-in color picker. This allows you to very easily pull off of reference images, concept art that you're using as inspiration. It's just something that Axiom doesn't have. Axiom has a color picker. The issue is that it is solely for in-game blocks, whereas this allows you to go onto any image you have on your computer and use that. But anyway, it works practically the same way. You pick color A, pick color B. You can also add in new colors here as well. You can, if you wish to add like a transition spot, you can move it around. You can dictate the length of these gradients, and you simply click generate, and it'll give you something to work with. If you wish to get rid of them, you can, let me see, rights and lefts. That's left click the block to get rid of it, and you're given this gradient. Now, in my experience, I will use both as a Minecraft builder simply because while Axiom is more convenient, HueBlocks has a few features like that color picker and the fact that honestly sometimes it's just a little bit easier to work with, and I'll just use both as I need to. HueBlocks when I'm working off reference images, Axiom when I'm in-game. But now, let's look at how to avoid these fine specimens of gradients. For one, you just need to, obviously, before you start building, place your gradient down and actually look at it yourself, because unlike Axiom, you have eyes and you see these as colors instead of numbers in a program. So obviously, if you're looking at this, you can thin things out as you need them. For example, like that, or like if this doesn't work for you, you can get rid of that. This transition should probably be some other block here. Just going in, looking at it that way. But now let's talk about some considerations that are maybe a little less common sense and more something you should consider anyway. An important thing to consider is what distance you're intending for your gradient to be viewed at. For example, if you're up close, texture is going to matter. For example, this birch log here, while mathematically and visually at a long distance is the correct transition between these two, if you're up close, sometimes it'll just make a little bit of sense to get rid of it and leave the smoother transition with blocks that have a similar texture. Up close, this just makes it feel a little bit more continuous as opposed to two conflicting blocks. Same with this birch plank here if you're like really up close to it. But at long distances, and I'm going to demonstrate this with these target blocks. See here, these are horrible to look at, but if we go far enough away, at a certain distance, that just becomes a light pink. So keep that in mind, the fact that at certain distances, it's less about the texture and it's more about, as Axiom sorts it by, the average color of the block. Now, granted, given my scale, the fact that I usually build relatively smaller medium-scaled things, I take texture into a ton of consideration, and I advise that you do too unless you're working on mega builds. Now, a few rapid-fire suggestions before I wrap this video up. If you get creative, you can use blocks like glow lichen, resin clumps, or skulk to smooth out transitions in your gradients. At large scales or distances, you can use stained glass to make your gradients a little more desaturated, a bit more vibrant, or to darken them slightly. And last but not least, actually think about how you're using your gradients. Don't just throw one in for the sake of it because you saw Green or B-dubs do it once. Yes, I know. Yes, I'm on to you. Yes, I also used to do the same thing. No shame in that. Actually think about it. Use it to show off weathering, make it look like there's shadows, or sometimes, honestly, just to make it look a little bit more interesting with your color play. But make sure it's deliberate, don't just go throwing them everywhere, and I can guarantee you your builds are going to be better off for it. Now go, have fun, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.